Hello everybody and welcome back to Kerbal Space Program, where you may notice a slightly different engine here from the last flight. I have upgraded to the twin bore engine, and you may ask, well, where did you get the science to do that? You needed like 110, and that's correct, we did. We did need 110 science, and we no longer do, because I made this thing and went around the KSC off camera and collected some data with it. And that gave us just barely enough to get it, plus a tiny bit extra, like 10 extra or something like that. I didn't get all of the science available from the KSC. We can do it again later if we need it, but for now, this'll do, and we need to launch our final flight in the Gemini program with our actual engine for the Gemini rocket this time, and that's great. So we're going to go ahead and do that. Gemini 12 here, of course, we're going to dock to the target vehicle that is in the wild orbit, the very elliptical orbit, just to make it a little more interesting. And we also need to do an EVA spacewalk, which is whatever. That's not going to be very complicated. But that's absolutely fine. We're going to throttle up, SAS on, and off we go. So our thrust to weight here on takeoff is 1.47. Our thrust to weight is still a little on the low side, and our burn time is still a little on the low side. In terms of the actual power level of this engine, it's comparable to the previous. I think it's slightly better, but it's comparable. It definitely looks the part better. Unfortunately, there is no color options for this. That does make me sad. But it definitely is more appropriate for this particular rocket. So that's absolutely great, and for now, of course, we're going to just get this up into orbit, and this is going to be a very, very similar ascent profile. This thing is... It's still a little underpowered on this bottom stage. We're going to have to still use our upper stage to properly get into orbit, but that's no problem. We can definitely do that. We've got plenty of Delta V up here. There's no concerns there. Now, we are currently at a decent apoapsis, so I'm going to start heading on over and getting us horizontal speed now. This thing is a little floatier than the previous, probably because it has less gimbaling than the 4 gimbaling engines that we had on here previously. This is, of course, just a single nozzle gimbaling, or a dual nozzle singular gimbaling engine. So it's probably the case. I do want to be all the way over here, though. It's a little floatier to head over. That's the main takeaway there in terms of piloting this thing. But it's not unmanageable by any means. Okay, so we're going to burn out this entire stage here, just getting as much horizontal speed as we can. We're still, of course, getting a decent amount of vertical speed, but we're going to be targeting somewhere around, I think, 85 kilometers, because we know the periapsis of the Agena target vehicle that we're going for here, as that anemic first stage burns out at 57 kilometers. Yeah, it's still a bit of a problem. We know that the Agena target vehicle is at an apoapsis, or I should say a periapsis, of about 100 kilometers. So we want to come in below that at somewhere like 85 is going to be our target here, and then we'll look to rendezvous on up. So that'll be okay. We've got ourselves a bit of burn time here at this point before we can get, if we can just get angled a bit here, there we go. Before we can get ourselves to a position where we are going to go into our rendezvous systems. That's a very long-winded way of saying things, but we need to get this pushed up about 20 more kilometers, right? It's going to be a little bit of a burn. Let's see about physics warping that. This seems viable. Cool. Okay, so we are at 88 kilometers right now. That's fine. No problem there. So we're going to add a maneuver here, and we'll just circularize this on up. Ooh, that was very quick. Ooh, that's very quick. Sure, this'll do. So this is going to be a 49-second burn. We're, of course, going to wait to burn until we get into space. So let's just physics warp our way on up, and in the meantime, we'll get aligned for this burn. There we go. Now we're in space, so that's great. This burn will start in about 4 minutes. Well, now it's going to start in about a minute. So that's okay. We will align again here. There we go, and warp on forward. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0, and mark. Okay, so here we go. getting ourselves properly into orbit before we do our rendezvous maneuver. So that's all good. 20 meters per second to go in the burn, and let's just bring this gently on down, chasing this node ever so slightly, but it doesn't really matter all that much. This is good enough. So that's fine. At this point, we're going to set this crazily orbited Agena target vehicle, and I would like to intercept it near the apoapsis. I feel like that's going to be our best bet. Let's push this out here and see what we've got. This timing isn't perfect, but it would end up being something along the lines of this. We're going to have to toss in additional orbits, and it's just easier at this point if we open up the maneuver, go to the graphical maneuver editor, and click here. So that is very far away. That's really close. Okay, let's check our timing here. That looks good. Okay, that's a really nice intercept. I love it. I thought that this was going to be a more complicated intercept, to be honest. But no, this is not bad. Our timing is not ideal, but it's not amazing. Well, it's not amazing, but it's not horrible either. So that's fine. We're going to warp forward a couple of orbits here. And of course, we're going to have to re-aim a little bit. It's going to be a 51-second burn, so we'll certainly look to physics warp that burn. Okay, so let's get into position. About 30 seconds here until our burn. 20, 10, and now. Phenomenal. So we're going to physics warp the burn here, and let's just get this orbit brought on up. Ooh, that's very sensitive. Okay, let's come out of physics warp. Much easier to control when we're out of physics warp. Perfect. About 5 seconds left in the burn anyway, so we did make our way through most of that burn. Okay, I'm going to call that good enough. Yeah, that seems fine. Separation of 19.4 kilometers and a relative speed of 45.9 meters per second. Okay, let's warp on up over here. And we'll get ourselves some corrective burns going. That'll be absolutely fine. So up we go. We know that our apoapsis is reasonably high, but I mean, so's the Agena target vehicle. And we can see it right there. Okay, I'm going to come out of this warp right about now. I think we're 36 kilometers away, but we need to do a corrective burn. I'm going to do this prograde, so we're going to be increasing our relative speed to the target, and we're just going to come on down over this way, get a small corrective burn there. That'll do. How are we looking? 0.6 kilometers. Okay, let's flip on around to retrograde now. That's definitely close enough. And we're just going to warp to about here, about 4 minutes in the future. I don't think we're going to do a corrective burn immediately here. No, it's fine. We can do a corrective here. We're still far enough away. So we can do a minor corrective burn there. There we go. And we're still 8 kilometers out, so I'm going to align us retrograde. And we're going to come in until we're about 2 kilometers out or so. Okay, 5 kilometers, 4, 3, and that's 2 kilometers. So let's get ourselves a bit of braking going here. I'm also doing a minor corrective burn here. Very minor. Okay, we slowed down quite a lot there, so let's bring this on in. What is our actual difference here? 0.0 allegedly? I don't know that it's actually going to be that, but that's fine. We're about 400 meters away right now. I'm going to steer us on in a little bit gently here. 300 meters away. Doing a small correction. 200 meters away. Okay, that's all the correction we're going to do. From here, we're just going to get into position for a braking burn. We are now approximately 100 meters away. Okay, let's just gently bring this on down here. 6 meters per second. 5. 3. Bring this down to 1 meter per second right now. Okay. I think this is good enough. Actually, we're going to need to get slightly further away because we need to turn and get these docked up, right? So we need to let this drift a little bit too far. We need to slightly overshoot here. Yes, about here. So something along the lines of that. So we'll set this as our target, and we will control from here. Let's align to that target. I don't suppose we already get docking forces. That would be, mildly insane. Okay, so we'll line up about like that. Let's hop over to the XII target vehicle. Hopefully it has electric charge. It does. Good. And we're just going to align like so. We are only 1.8 meters apart. Okay, we need the SAS to be on here. That's for sure. Okay, we'll do that, and we're going to need to change. We're not controlling from here, are we? Oh, we are. This is saying 3 meters away. Okay, well, that's fine. Okay, let's just get this mildly lined up here. Okay, that'll do for now. Now let's just very, very gently bring this on in. Docking forces should take over. We're 2 meters away right now. I think we're a lot closer than 2 meters, to be honest. Are we too far off in terms of... Yes, we are. Okay. We're too far off in terms of our actual heading here. Okay, that's fine. Just changing that around here. We have a lot of drifting happening at this moment. Okay. Okay, I'm just bringing us on over here. Lots of drifting happening at this moment. Okay. For the time being, I'm going to kill our relative velocity again, and we're going to bring this in again. We just had too much drift there, and that's fine. So we're going to align here, like that. Very small amount to burn to kill the relative velocity, and we're going to reposition here. We'll try this again. Okay. Getting in position here, and changing our heading. There we go. Cool. This should be much better. No doubt about that. Just making small RCS corrections as we come in. Beautiful. There we go. That's what we were looking for. Phenomenal. So we docked here, and we docked basically at the apoapsis. So that's absolutely great. What we can do now, of course, is do our spacewalk while docked. So we're going to have Jebediah EVA here, and he's just going to go for a bit of a jaunt. Later, Bill. Jeb's out of here. He can't handle Bill's company for all that long. He needs a break. That's it. He just needs a break. So, of course, this is absolutely fine. Jeb can fly around out here to his heart's content. But eventually he has to come back, right? And so we're just going to kill this velocity, and we're going to make our way on back. Jeb doesn't need long breaks. He just needs some breaks. Speaking of needing breaks, he's going to have to break here. That's exactly what he's going to do. So we want to come up over this side, right? Yes. Back down, Jeb. There you go. Cool. Jeb is a little sad about going back in. Apparently, Bill decided not to have, showers in the capsule. There's no... Bill was the one who decided that there is no shower in the capsule, is what I'm saying. And Jeb is very upset about that, for good reason. You can imagine why. We're going to undock from the XII target vehicle here. And the XII target vehicle is at this point going to look to deorbit. We do not need this anymore, so we're going to bring this guy on down. We're going to deorbit this down to a periapsis of about... It doesn't really matter. Just negative. Okay. There we go. So that's out of here. That is now going to be landing shortly. Well, eventually. And we'll position ourselves here. This, of course, we want to be a little bit more cautious on. We're going to take that down to 10 kilometers, as we have been. And then I'm also going to switch over to this XII target vehicle. And we're going to bring that down as well. We are done with the Gemini program, and so we are done with these satellites. We're going to hop on over to retrograde here. And we're going to bring that on down. Oh, we've not activated this engine. Okay, let's do it. So we are, of course, decelerating here. Down to 100 kilometers. We are now in a decaying orbit. And we are now in an impact trajectory. Perfect. So we're going to hop back over to the... I don't want to go to the XII target vehicle, but I guess we'll go here and see if that gives us the resolution to hop over to the Gemini 12 mission. Can we just do this? Actually, we're still close enough to just swap over. Beautiful. So we're going to hop over to retrograde here. We are, of course, done with this fuel, so we can ditch that. Get out of here, fuel. Nobody likes you. And we are going to head on home. That is the Gemini program complete. All we have to do is recover them. Are we going to be coming down in water? Well, maybe, actually. That is a hard maybe. Okay, so we're going to be hitting atmosphere here. Let's orient ourselves on around to retrograde. This is not retrograde. Control from here. Okay, that's retrograde. That was mildly awkward, but we'll bring these guys right on down. Phenomenal. They're definitely coming in a little faster because they're coming in from a pretty high point, but that does just mean that, of course, we have a little bit more speed to aerobrake, right? It doesn't matter. We've got plenty of capacity for that here. 1.9 kilometers per second. I'm going to physics warp us up a bit. I feel like it's reasonably safe now. There we go. We're going to get our parachute out. Technically our drogue chutes and our main chute. And perfect. We've got ourselves a water landing here. So down we come. That was a pretty quick one. No doubt about it. But to be honest, Gemini kind of went out with a whimper, like I said last episode. Just dock to the uncrewed vehicle and EVA spacewalk. So, sure, that's done. I'll mark that off on the list, and that, of course, finishes the Gemini program. This might be a little bit of a short episode in that case. That's fine. So we're going to head on down here. And we'll get this splashdown done. We will recover this vessel, and then we are, of course, going to get our payment for this mission, as well as the overall Gemini program, which is now officially completed. Beautiful. So we'll recover that vessel, and next up is, of course, going to be the Vakshad program, which I know almost nothing about. I'll have to research that one. I'm not sure how many flights are in it. I'll get all that fleshed out before the next episode. So that'll be absolutely fine. The Vakshad program is going to be happening next. Let's get these guys recovered. Let's get our payment for Gemini, and that'll be great. We get 0 science. It's not shocking. And we are, of course, going to get ourselves our cheat here. It's not really a cheat. We're going to get 2, and then we're going to get 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. So 7 total. Because we finished up the Gemini program, we get 500,000, and for that last mission, we get 200,000, putting us at almost 1.5 million. Not bad. Not bad at all. So we need to get some science for Vakshad before we can really do Apollo, because Apollo, actually Soyuz is next after Vakshad. It's going to be awkward because Soyuz went through a lot of iterations. I'll have to figure out how I want to handle that. For now, though, it is time to, it's not really time to put a cut in here, but it's close enough. We'll call it good. You can leave your offerings to the engagement gods in the form of likes, comments, subscribes, and bell ringings, and a very special thank you to all of the channel members for making this video possible, including ALS Gamer, Shadow Wolf, Andy McGar, Spartan News, Nick Smarty, Dimitri H, Punching the Microphone, Soccerman12UK, Kentogan, and all the rest. And of course, you. thank you for watching. If you'd like to support the channel, you can click the join button down below the video, and as always, I will see you all next time.